They laughed when I took magic mushrooms for the very first time. Now, 4 years later, they're asking me for advice. True. I'm Dr. Dave. Welcome to Microdose U. Yeah, it's been over 4 years now. And I got to tell you, when I first started microdosing magic mushrooms, oh my God, I got private messages from friends and followers pretty much saying like, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? What are you, a druggie now?" You wouldn't believe some of the comments I got. And even when I went into my own doctor's office, my own primary care physician, when I filled out the form, I mean, I try to be honest about what I'm doing. I don't want to hide anything. And I checked off the box that said, yeah, drugs, recreational, but even though they're not recreational drugs, there was no other box to check off. So I explained that I was using magic mushrooms for my mental health. And she questioned me. And she said, like, why, what are you doing? I said, well, doctor, it's a microdose. Don't worry. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny dose. And I'm using it for my mental health. And I am feeling fantastic. And she said, well, yeah, I don't know if you should be doing that. And I said, well, why? And she said, well, because these are psychedelics. And I said, yes, that's absolutely right. She didn't know what else to say. And the craziest one is when I posted something for the very first time that I was trying to microdose magic mushrooms from a good friend. I mean, I can't say like a close friend, but somebody that I spent a lot of time with and did a lot of business with. And this woman on Facebook sent back one of those emojis like that angry, like I'm angry at you. Like, what are you doing? Are you screwing up your life? I'm angry and pissed. But it's really interesting because many of the people that, you know, gave me a hard time, didn't really agree with what I was doing. It's interesting how they're drinking their alcohol often. And they don't think anything of that because it is legal. Um, and mostly psilocybin is depending on where you are, mostly not legal, but it's a safer, um, more powerful medicine to actually take care of things, especially like, mental health issues and rewire your brain. If you think alcohol is healthy or could rewire your brain, think again. Zero chance. Zero chance. So I've had a lot of fun with this because at first people were pissed, angry, surprised, calling me names. Now, 4 years later, that it's changed my whole life. I'm like a different person in a really really good way. Now these same people are asking me for advice. Hey, Dr. Dave, like tell me how to do this. I'm interested. All of a sudden everybody is interested because 4 years ago it was not as well known as it is now. I mean, when I first started, I was, not the first, but kind of a pioneer. I mean, kind of. I'm not saying I invented, because I certainly didn't invent it. It wasn't my idea. But not as many people 4 years ago were even thinking about microdosing psychedelics. But now it's much. When you talk to somebody about it, most people have at least heard about it and know something about it. Most, not all, but most. But yeah, the same people that were making fun of me and angry, they're now secretly contacting me, asking me how to do this, how to change their life because their life is not where they want it to be. And they see how well it's worked and they want in. They want in. So it's a great story. I mean, when I first started, I didn't really know where it would lead me. I wasn't positive it would work, but like I've told you, I was suffering from, anxiety and depression and more, and um, the Lexapro that wasn't cutting it. That's not how I wanted to live my life. So now it's just totally different. And this podcast has been going close to that amount of time, and I've helped people all over the world. And it's amazing, and everything I share on this podcast is free. I don't charge anything for the podcast. I do have the Patreon channel that we step it up a notch, and we've been doing a live meeting on Patreon, our little Patreon family, doing a live meeting about once every 3 weeks now. I'm going to try to after I'm doing this road trip right now. If you're watching this on video, you can tell in the background, I ain't in my studio. I'm not in my studio. I'm in a hotel room, and this road trip will continue for at least the next several weeks. So I'm not gonna be in the official Microdose U studio for some time now, but it's still really important for me to record episodes. I really have a lot to share. And this road trip is something, it's awesome, and it's something I probably never would have done had I not started microdosing and changed my life and feel good about things and understand what I want to do in my life. It's it's amazing. But getting back to the Patreon channel real quick, we do a live meeting where you can ask pretty much any question you want. Any On Patreon, we don't censor stuff out. Like, there's certain things, there are ground rules here that I say I don't talk about sourcing. Somebody says, where do I get magic mushrooms? Well, first of all, I don't sell anything, to make it very clear. But on Patreon, we do talk a little bit deeper about that, and also about microdosing LSD, which is in my mind, it's a game changer. Now, again, when I first started microdosing LSD, even I had the people, oh, you're an addict, you're going to overdose, this is dangerous, hardcore drugs. And I used to think the same thing. I used to think LSD was a very dangerous hardcore drug. It's really not, actually, and especially using it for medical reasons at microdose level, it's extremely safe. I'm in Baltimore now visiting, and this is part of my road trip. And I actually had dinner with my mom last night, and she asked me, she said, well, you're going to get addicted. I said, no, Mom, you don't understand. LSD, it's not addictive, and you can't overdose. And it's not like these drugs like heroin, cocaine, opioids. It's nothing like that. I don't do any of those. I don't do that stuff. But psychedelics are, I look at them as a medicine, and especially at a microdose level, extremely, extremely safe. And you go about your business you're not, I'm not high, I'm not stoned, I'm not trippy. I operate like I go about my business. And people ask me, well, are you microdosing while you're on this road trip? Well, I'll just say, what do you think? What do you think the answer is to that one? I mean, come on. Oh my God. So anyway, it's really interesting how um, from the beginning, getting a really hard time from people. Now they're kind of like, oh, we want to know more about this. And so it's really interesting. It's changed my life, rewired my brain. I've got several questions that people have been writing in. And by the way, if you have a question and I don't answer it personally, like email you back, or answer it on YouTube or wherever it might be, there's a very good chance I'm going to answer it on this podcast. So make sure you watch. And the question, the Q&As are usually the last part. So don't just click this thing off after 3, 4 minutes and say, I get it. Oh, I get it. No, no, I answer some really good questions. I do my best to answer as many as I can, the ones I get. So if you ask me a question, I may or may not answer by email, or the way you ask me, but I will try my best to get it on the show here. So let's get into it. First question. Oh, before first question, make sure you check the show notes and my website, show notes on the podcast, and my website, microdoseu.com. I've had a lot of people lately that have been interested in one-on-one coaching because they just don't really understand it enough, or they're trying to reach a goal. So it's all there. It's all there, including the Patreon links. So got a lot of stuff going. Microdose U is in high gear now, baby. High gear. Let's go to the first question from Sugargram. I think this one came in on YouTube. I'm pretty sure. I didn't make a note of that one. But So you mentioned using diazepam or benzodiazepines for to kill a bad mushroom trip. So the question is, will Buspar work as well? For those of you that don't know, Buspar, it's an anti-anxiety medication. And diazepam, benzodiazepines, or Valium. They're anti-anxieties also. Um, Buspar is a little different. I don't know the answer to this, and I could research it for you. Um, However, there was a time that I was on Buspar, and I remember now. See, if you take Valium or any kind of benzo, basically in 15 to 30 minutes, you feel it. You'll feel a big difference. It will decrease your anxiety. There's no question about it. I'm not a fan of them for long term. They're not good long term. But in a pinch, if you need something just almost like in an emergency basis, benzos are fine. But just don't take too many. Don't take long term. Don't get addicted. Buspar, on the other hand, it doesn't work right away. I remember it's not an SSRI, but it took a little while before you start feeling the effects of Buspar. So I'm not so sure. My guess is it probably would not work if you want to go ahead and stop or kill a bad mushroom trip or even LSD. I think benzos are the way to go. I don't think Buspar will work only because it's really not necessarily. Everybody's different, but it's not necessarily an immediate um, feeling when you dose Buspar. Great question there. That's the first time that was ever asked, I think, since I've been doing this podcast. There are a lot of common questions that get asked all the time, like can I microdose with SSRIs, things like that. But this is the first time anybody ever mentioned or asked about Buspar. Good one, thanks, Sugar Graham. Hope that helped you. Um, Big man Bosa asks, this is my first time trying psilocybin microdosing. Will it alter my state of mind, and what should I be expecting? Um, Big man, Bosa. So I've shared this a lot. It's a very commonly asked question. By definition, microdosing is a very, very, very small dose of in this case, a psychedelic. No, it does not alter well, I take it back. I take it back. Alter your state of mind is a little bit of a vague sentence or phrase because okay, I'll share this. It's not going to make you high. It's not going to make you trippy. It's not going to make you stoned. It's not going to make you drunk, anything like that. However, alter your state of mind. That's what we want to happen over time, but in a good way, meaning if you're feeling a certain way, again, I'll use anxiety as the example. That's probably the most common anxiety or depression. Anxiety is probably a little more common, the reason that people use psychedelics. Um, you want your state of mind to be altered because you want it to change. You don't want to be anxious every day. So over time, that will, I guess, alter your state of mind. Um, but I think maybe what you're asking is it going to alter it in such a way that you can't function, you're going to be high and tripping. No, it will not do that because microdosing is subperceptual, or let's say I used to say subperceptual, minimally perceptual. You will feel something, it will feel very good, but it will not be like you've had like a six pack of beer. I use alcohol as the example because I'm not an alcohol person. I don't really I don't think alcohol is necessarily a good thing. But so I'll use that as an example. Psychedelic it's a much better way to feel, and it actually does rewire your brain in a good way. So I hope that answers your question there, big man Bosa. I hope it does. Um, James Nez, why do some people microdose for weeks or even months and still feel like nothing's happening? And what can they do differently? That's a really good question. I do get asked that sometimes, but the way you phrased it is it's actually really good. Um, what I'll say is, first of all, like I've said before, everybody's different. If everybody were the same on this planet, I don't think it would even be fun. If everybody reacted to things exactly the same way, Everybody thought the same way. Everybody felt the same way. What good would life be? Everybody's different. That's the beauty of long, strange trip. Everybody's different. So yeah, there's some people that microdose for, as James says, weeks or months, and they don't feel like anything's happening. First of all, I will tell you this: there's a very good chance something is happening in the background and you don't even know it yet. But your brain is being rewired. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but stick with the program. I tell people that if you're not all in, and you just want to try this for like a week or a few days or maybe a week or two, don't do this. This is more of a commitment, and it's going to help you, but everybody's on their own timeline, and some people it takes a little longer. But there also are, and this is some of the thing, a lot of the things we teach, in our one-on-one coaching. Um, there are a lot of other things to do alongside of the microdosing. Like again, I've showed you this. I carry my journal wherever I go. I'm always journaling, reading, thinking. Super important. And there are a lot of other things to do alongside of this. It's not just you pop a psilocybin capsule in the morning, and you can try that, but no, there's more that goes alongside of it. So, and we teach this stuff, and I've shared a lot of it on the podcast for free as well. So, James, I hope that helps. But my point is, keep it going. You might have to adjust dosages. You might have to even maybe look at a different strain. There's so many things that go into this, but it's a work in progress. Never, ever give up. It will work. Yutsuk is asking, is microdosing just a band-aid for deeper issues, or can it actually heal you at the root? That's a fair question, because I'm going to say when you take an SSRI, like an antidepressant or maybe an anti-anxiety drug or something like that, I think that's a band-aid. It's masking, it's changing some things around for sure, but it's not really fixing you, because as soon as you get off of that medication, you stop an SSRI, and please, if you're on an SSRI, never stop it abruptly. Always wean off of it, and you should be weaning off of it with your doctor's supervision or advice. And by the way, it's a good time for me to throw in here. I should have done it at the beginning, but none of this is medical advice. And also, make sure you stay safe and use magic mushrooms or LSD or whatever you might be using where it's legal, where you can do it, where it's decriminalized or whatever. Um, but so SSRIs or antidepressants, they're kind of like band-aids, I think. Yeah, they work somewhat, but then when you quit, you're back to square one. You're anxious again, you're depressed again. Psilocybin, on the other hand, magic mushroom psilocybin, as we've taught all along, and if you're new to me, that's fine. I welcome new people. So maybe Yutsuk is brand new. That's okay. I love having new followers, new listeners, and everything. Um, it rewires your brain. It changes the neural pathways in your brain. This is true, true healing, real healing. So it's not a band-aid. This fixes you. You'll start to see things li- like you've never seen them before. And I don't mean colors. I mean the way you feel about your life, the way you feel about others, kindness, spirituality, uh, whatever it is, you'll start to feel differently about things. You'll start to understand things better than you ever have. There's a very good chance your cognition, your brain will be sharper. It truly changes things, and that is not a band-aid as far as I'm concerned. It really, really works. I really hope all this helped, and I love getting questions, so send more in. I'm really trying to make it a point now. The first part of the show, I share with you what I want to share, and then we get into Q&A. And I think people say they like it a lot. It works really well, and you get your stuff answered. So thanks so much for being here. I'm just so happy that you're here. with this along on this ride. Again, we are forging the path. Uh, Most people are not doing this. Most people are just living their lives, just chugging through, not knowing what's going on, using alcohol or other drugs that really are not helping or changing things. But we know the answer here. We know how to truly, truly feel better. Brand new episode every Wednesday. Make sure you don't miss anything on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, probably wherever you get your podcasts. We're probably there. Okay, I am Dr. Dave. This is Microdose U, and yes, I do love you. Thanks so much for being here.